Hello students, good morning and welcome to this morning's segment of English language lesson for senior classes. I hope you will be prepared for this for your exams. Last time we discussed the word stress. But today we are going into letter writing. We will treat letter writing, and this is just to remind you most of the things we have done in letter writing. Letter writing is a medium of composition, and most of the times we use it to communicate with people who are far away from us or who are busy with other business or matters. Because letters are composition, most of the times they entail narrating, just like in essay writing. They entail narrating. You narrate some stories. Maybe you are requested to tell a story, or you are asked about somebody at home and an incident that happened, and you are writing to someone. At times it becomes descriptive. At times it can even be argumentative or exposition. So it is almost the same thing as writing an essay. The difference is that the letter contains address and compliments, but the essay does not contain that. Essay has only to do with its title, and you exposit the titles. You tell a story about your title. So in in letter writing, there are three features of letter. We have three features. Okay, we will take this one after the other because there are some differences that make them to have different names. The informal letter is a letter written to your parents, your mother, your father, or to your brother, your sister, or uncle, cousin, aunt, nephew, or niece. Those people who are very close to you in relation. Letters you write to them are what we call informal letters. Now, the formal letter is a letter written on official matter. Any letter that is written on official matter is what is called formal letter. And in this, when you are writing, you are not writing as if you are writing to the person. You are writing to that person's position, a position where your issue will be addressed. And so, okay, for instance, this letter is a letter you write to maybe the local government chairman, the principal of your school, the governor of the state, or somebody, a manager in the office. This includes something like application letter, petition, query, All those letters are what we call formal letters. And in this case, the informal letter has only one address system, but the formal letter has two address systems. That is the writer's address and the recipient's address. But the formal letter the informal letter contains only the writer's address. Now, the third one, the semi-formal letter, this is a letter written to a casual acquaintance. A casual acquaintance. Like you are writing to the priest in your church, or the teacher in your school, or an old woman or man that is in your church. Such letters to those who are not very closely related to you are what we call semi-formal letter. The semi-formal letter does not have title like the formal letter, because one of the issues that differentiates formal letter from others, not only that it has two addresses, it must have a title. You must put whatever you want to write in under a title. For instance, if you are looking for a job of a manager in a company, your title will be application for the job of either deputy manager or the manager. That is, you write it, and one thing, okay, when we come to that, I will show you the format. There is a format you will use in writing the title of a formal letter. But here, let us pick them one after the other. Let's handle the informal letter. The informal letter, the letter you are writing to your parents, or your brother, or your sister, there are so many things that differentiate it from the formal letter. A lot of things. Now, like we have discussed in the class, remember that if this is your paper, your address, the writer's address, must come here at the top right hand corner, upper right corner of the paper. That is where your address will come. And in the address, most of the times, there is a trap that WAEC will always set there for you. Be careful the way you write. There are things you must observe before your address will be right. One, you do not abbreviate. You do not abbreviate in any form. No abbreviation is accepted in addresses. For instance, you do not write this is wrong, and if you write it, in WAEC we call it ringable errors. Errors you can ring. And just like any mechanical accuracy error, once it is ringed, 1 mark is gone. So here you have lost 2 marks. So we do not abbreviate in addresses. So you must write in full. However, there are what I have told you in the class that we call acronyms. Acronyms are acceptable in address system. Acronym means those words that we are familiar with, something like WAEC, something like NEPA, something like JAM. We call these acronyms. And remember that each alphabet of the acronym must be capitalized because it represents a word. So if you are writing JAM and you write like this, you have lost half mark. This is not JAM. This is not JAM. Okay? So here, your address ends with Epusigo local government area. But the point is, because it ends with Epusigo local government area, there must be full stop here. There must be full stop. But the date is mandatory. The date is mandatory. You must have to write the date. Note, there must be 2 full stops in your address system. There must be 2 full stops in your address system. Where the address ends, the local government. Remember that I told you, you can write Epusigo LGA. LGA is an acronym. It is acceptable. Now, look at the date. The date is where one of the traps are set. Now, you don't write like this. This is not English. This is not English. You do not abbreviate the dates of the months. You do not abbreviate the names of the month. And you do not write 29 to the th power. That is English. 29 to the th power. No. You must write it the way it should be written. They should be the same size. And this must be in full. Okay? So that is that. Now, one thing again is this. The main trap I am trying to lay to you, the recipient's address, the writer's address ends with where your letter is going. It ends, for instance, look at this model question. You have sent a text message to your father who is away in a foreign land. Who is away in a foreign land, which reads, mother in hospital, letter follows. Then the question says, write the letter explaining the circumstance leading to her admission and discussing her prospect of recovery. So the trap in this question is the phrase foreign land. So in that phrase foreign land, they want to know whether you know where your address will end. Now the system is this. If you are in Epusigo local government and you are writing to somebody who is in Epusigo local government, you don't include Epusigo local government in your address. If you are in Anambra State and you are writing to somebody in Anambra State, you don't include Anambra State in your address. However, if that person, you are in Anambra State and that person is in Lagos State, your address must contain Anambra State. And so in this case, where it says foreign land, your address will end with Nigeria. So here you have Epusigo local government. Because you are writing to someone who is abroad, so this is what your address will look like. This is what your address must look like. Now, this comma is mandatory. If you don't put this comma, you lose half mark. It is mandatory. The comma is mandatory. And remember we said in your address system, you must have 2 full stops. So the full stops are where your address ends and then where the date ends. Okay? So that is all for address. Then, another thing is the salutation. And this will come at the left-hand side of your letter, below the writer's address. It will come at the left-hand side of your paper. It should come at the left-hand side of your paper. Okay? Now, there are ways you do this. One, the complementary, it must start with there. And the word there, the D must be capital because it begins the line of the sentence. So every sentence starts with capital alphabet. So there, if you are writing to your father, you write dear dad. Dad, you put comma. Dad is a proper noun. There are three ways you can use this that is acceptable in your WAEC paper. So either you say dear dad, or you say dear father. Mark you, father is not a proper noun. Then you can say dear father John. Always start somebody's name with capitals. Now there is one thing or two things WAEC do not accept. They don't accept them. Okay? This is not acceptable. And this is not acceptable. WAEC does not accept them. And so don't use them. Don't use them. If you are writing to your mom, you use their mom. Now, WAEC does not accept this. This mom, WAEC does not accept it. If you use it, you lose a mark. It is not to be used. So, the only one you can confidently use, their mom, their mother. Remember, there must be comma after all of them. Here, the best option is their mom. Here, the best option for you to use is their dad. Okay? If you are writing to your brother, you write dear nonso, or you write dear brother, or you write okay? The same thing to your sister. However, listen carefully to this. Don't ever write dear friend if you are writing to your friend. Don't ever write dear friend. It is not acceptable by WAEC. Because one thing about informal letter is, the informal letter, when you are writing it, you will allow the reader to feel your presence. You are writing to the reader as if you are discussing with the reader live. as if you are talking to the reader live. That is the essence of informal letter. And that is why informal letter admits a lot of things that the formal letter does not admit. In informal letter, you are permitted to use slang. Remember, the word slang does not take S. So for you to say slangs, that is not English. So you are permitted to use slang. You are permitted to use elliptical. You know what is ellipsis? That is, ellipses are those 3 dots that shows that something has been left out. So when we say elliptical sentences, sentences that are not complete, but you used the 3 dots to show that you have omitted something. So you can use elliptical sentences. And thirdly, you can also use colloquialism, that is, shortened form of conversational words. In formal letter, you cannot use this. You can't use this in formal letter. But in informal letter, this is acceptable. It is quite acceptable. Okay? So, when you are writing, you must be writing as if you are talking to that person live. And so, you don't call the friend you are writing to, you don't say, dear friend. No. Because in real life, you don't address him as dear friend. There must be the name that you use in addressing him. So you say, dear Joe, or dear Mary, or dear Mary. Any of those system. Okay? So don't use dear friend. That is wrong. If you use it, you lose mark. Okay? Now we go to the main part of the letter writing, the informal letter. Now, the most modern system of writing the letter or even essay is what we call 3 segments. 3 segments segment 5 paragraph system. 3 segments 5 paragraph system. So the 3 segments are A, introduction, and in this case, this involves the first paragraph and the address system. Then B, the body of the letter or essay. And then we have the third one, the conclusion. The conclusion. So these are the 3 segments. Now, when you are talking of the 5-paragraph system, if you are talking of the 5-paragraph system, if you are talking of 5-paragraph system, the first paragraph, okay, let's say paragraph 1 is introduction. Paragraph 2, paragraphs 2 to 4, the body. Okay, so this is where you exposit the subject matter, you are writing about. This is because in WIET system and format, you are expected to have 3 points, and each point is developed in a separate paragraph. So paragraph 2 has 1 point, paragraph 3 has 1 point, paragraph 4 has 1 point. And then we have paragraph 5, which is the conclusion. Okay? So one thing about this is this. Please, on no account must you start your letter with "how do you do?" How is the condition of your health? No. You start your letter with introduction, and introduction is where you got the information you are about to write on or discuss. That is the introduction. If you are not going to quote the source of your information, go straight to the point you want to write about. Remember what we said. I told you that this system is used both for essay writing and letter writing. Okay, now for instance, let me give you 2 examples. I will combine them, the letter writing, informal letter, and the essay writing. Now the point is this. Let's take this informal letter, and it says, your sister is about to marry a man from a different ethnic background. Okay, let's use group. Ethnic group, but your mother is vehemently against that. He says, write a letter to your mom okay, let's say write a letter to your mom giving her at least 3, in why they will underline these reasons. Giving her 3 reasons. Look at this. You have been given 3. You have been given 3 periods. Sorry, 3 reasons. You have been given 3 reasons to explain why your mother should allow your sister to marry a person from a different ethnic group. So, now, the 3 reasons will come in here. First reason in first paragraph, second reason in third paragraph, and the third reason in the fourth paragraph. So the introduction now will be, the source of your information. Make sure, like I always tell you, I don't know what you will feel if I tell you the truth about essay writing and letter writing. That's write a story that is not true and write it convincingly so that the person you are, that is the person that will read it, will be nodding his head, enjoying the story, and he will forget to penalize you if there is a place to do that. So you tell lies and tell lies and tell lies and tell lies, very convincing lies. That is it. So here, in the aspect of writing, you must use real names of persons and their places. Real names of persons and places. So you will say in the introduction, dear mom, yesterday when I was coming back from the church service, my friend Mary kept shouting my name. And when I turned in annoyance, I saw her with an envelope in her hands running towards me. And when she brought the envelope, when I looked at it, the writing in the address on the envelope was that of my sister, Nkechi. So I became so excited that I didn't even wait to get home before I started reading the letter. I opened the letter, I was even dancing, and when I read the first paragraph more, I was so disheartened by what she wrote. And then you say, "Mother, are you at it again?" You have finished your first paragraph. So when you go to the second paragraph, you say, "In fact, make sure you use connectives, words we call connectives or discuss markers or link words. Anyone you want to call it, they mean the same. These are, in fact, however, furthermore, moreover, they connect your writing, they make it flow and make it one continuous writing. So you say, in fact, she said that you have refused to allow her marry Musa. So what we are saying, your introduction will be the source of your information. Like I have shown you, you notice the source of information was a letter from her elder sister telling her that the mother is trying to make her not to marry the man of her choice. And so you go to the second paragraph. The second paragraph will bear your own, will bear the first point. So you might, you go into families and find out what is happening. That is what you will do in the hall. Check families and find out what has been happening in so many families you know, and use them as an example. Now, mark you, remember what I told you. If you are about to write an essay or letter writing, the first 5-7 minutes determines whether you will succeed or not. Once you read the question, read it again to understand it fully. Don't go writing immediately. Stay quiet and then form the picture of what you want to write in your memory. Form that picture in your memory. And when the picture is coming in your memory, jot down some of the points, because if you don't, while writing, you will forget almost all of them. Jot down most of the points. And so this first 7 minutes will determine. It is in these first 7 minutes you will jot down the points you will use. Now in this paragraph 2, you might, let me give you an example. You might say, in fact, Mother, have you forgotten so soon the case of Ifeoma, our neighbor's daughter, whom the father refused marrying the man of her choice. The father forced her to marry James. And every time, Ifeoma runs home complaining of miscarriage, because James has used things that will captivate the writer's mind. That James has turned Ifeoma into Boys Brigade band. She is always coming home with wounds and swollen face and all whatnot. So you explain that, their relationship. And so these are what you will do in paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. So you don't start your letter, remember, with how do you do. You don't start your letters with how do you do. And then, secondly, Before we go on, I want you to take down some of these. Things you must avoid. The other time, somebody was writing and he wrote, these are what you should avoid. The L, like I told you, we call them in WAEC ringable errors. And you know that mechanical accuracy is 10 marks. So once we ring 20, when we get 20 rings, you have lost 10 marks, we stop ringing. So all these, each one is half mark. You have lost a half mark. You don't write like this. Avoid them. And so, when we come to the conclusion of the formal letter, if you look at the board, you will see them. You can use any of these. You can pick 2 or 3 of them, but number 1 is mandatory. Number 4 is mandatory. Do not start your letter in the first paragraph with, how do you do? That is 1816 system of writing letter. It's just like when you are starting your essay writing, you begin with once upon a time. That is Mongo Park system. It's no more involved, it's no more acceptable in English. So it is in the 5th paragraph, the concluding paragraph, that you ask about the well-being of the recipient. Okay? Now, you should be able to know the number of words you write in a line. And once you know the number of words you write in a line, by the time you finish your paragraph 4, you count the number of lines and multiply it with the number of words you write in a line, you will know how many words you have. And if you are below, because you are always required to write 450 words, if you don't write up to that, there's penalty for it. So if you have written about 350, it is in this 5th paragraph you will make up for the next 100 words. You might introduce number 3. In another form, you might say, Mom, I heard that our cousin Elizabeth is now pregnant, and she has refused to disclose the person that is involved in that. That's where you will say, the other time I came back, I noticed she was always going to so place, and one day you give very short story about her. You are looking for words to complete your essay, 450 words. So I would like you to take down this. Now, the complementary clause of the formal letter is mandatory. That is the best form that WAEC approves is yours sincerely. That's what they approve. Now, notice here, the Y must be capital, the S singular, and the comma is mandatory. And then here, the H for Henry must be capital. Do not forget that. Okay? So take down this and do justice to it. Question. You have spent about 6 weeks. You have spent about 6 weeks in your new school, full stop, write a letter to your father, write a letter to your father telling him about your experiences so far. Telling him about your experiences so far. So that is that for today. We will go to the shorter segments of our today's